Thanks for listening to the Business Spotlight podcast presented by the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce. I'm Logan Weaver, the marketing coordinator for the Chamber. Thanks for tuning in. Got a special guest today as we're back in the Chamber offices, Tyler Cassidy with Dr. Door.
Yes, I am here. And before we start the podcast, I have to do it. You listeners out there won't be able to see it, but I'm putting on my jacket and I am getting ready for this podcast.
I am verifying that he is putting on doctoral garb, I guess.
My doctor outfit, and now we are ready to go. So my goal with this podcast, as I was joking around with my wife earlier, is this is going to be the funnest podcast that the Chamber has ever put on.
I do not doubt that one bit. I've been looking forward to this conversation, Tyler, all week long.
Good.
We've been hanging out for some time with our Chamber connection and business connections, so great to finally sit down with you and talk business.
Yes. And one of the big things I want to bring up here is that the Chamber of Commerce has helped me out as a small business so much. Early on, I was lost. And Logan and his crew pointed me in the right direction on, hey, this is where people meet. Hey, this is people who talk. This is the mayor. Just small things like that the Chamber does for us. It's very important. And especially being a small business, in the beginning, everybody wants your money. Everybody's trying to help you out. You think they're trying to help you out. And sometimes they point you in the wrong direction. And the Chamber has never pointed me in the wrong direction. Every time I've worked with them, it has always been a home run. So I just want to start the podcast off by saying thank you, Logan. Thank you, the Chambers, for being awesome.
Check is in the mail, by the way. Yeah. Well, Tyler, seriously, though, I do appreciate that. I know everyone here at the Chamber does appreciate those sentiments. I mean, that's what we try and do on a day-to-day basis is help businesses any size, whether you're a single employee like yourself, a small business, or some of the largest manufacturers in town. We try to help everyone regardless of background or size or anything like that. So,
and I think that's important. Everybody's on even playing field. A lot of other places, it's pay to play, and you gotta have the money to back it up. And unfortunately, small business owners like myself, the last year has been a struggle bus. I'm stealing that word from my sister Amanda. She's laughing right now. Election year, a lot of things. Everybody's scared, and home service industries, especially garage doors, HVAC, all that. It was hard. A lot of my guys that I'm friends with from, we'll say from Kansas City to Florida, all garage door guys is what I'll joke around and say. Everybody was down 10 to 20%. And it has been a struggle for all of us to catch back up. And a lot of the bigger platforms that you use on your phone that you don't think about, it's pay to play. And if you want to get somebody to call you from that, you got to pay a good amount of money. And there's a lot of fake companies out there that have learned how to scam saying they're local when they're not truly local. And it's hard. So again, coming here talking to Chambers, you guys deal with actual people, which is nice, especially in the world that we live in today with AI and all the crazy fakes.
It's good to hear an actual voice. It's good to see an actual face. Yeah.
I can shake his hand, people. I can shake his hand.
And Tyler, one thing that I've wanted to ask you about is your marketing efforts, because I think a lot of folks in the community have seen your yard signs, they've seen your social posts, they've heard your radio spots.
Yes.
Kind of tell me a little bit about how all these ideas came to be. Like when you're sitting at home eating your dinner, how do these thoughts come into your mind?
So this is going to sound really odd, and I love that I'm putting this on a podcast. I row. I like to row. I know this is going to sound very odd, but I have a rowing machine. And that's where a lot of my ideas is when I'm just sitting, rowing or running or working out, or even with my wife and my children. They'll do something off the wall, and I'm like, oh, my God, that's a commercial. One of our very first commercials was actually my daughter. She ran in, the idea was because she kept on saying Dr. Door, Dr. Door, Dr. Door. And I was like, wonder if I could get her to run into something and say Dr. Door. So the whole idea was like, hey, we're going to get a fake, like a car and run through a fake garage door. And then she says, oh, I'm going to call Dr. Door. Completely off the cuff. We just thought of this idea, and it has worked brilliantly. We've gotten, I want to say, close to 2,000 views off of that. A lot of people now are getting their advertising, or I should say, their concentration or their focus is on Facebook or on Instagram. That's where people are at right now, especially our generation. Each couple seconds, you got to draw them back in and draw them back in.
Exactly. Especially, I was kind of coming onto social media right as Vine was dying.
Yes.
Folks remember Vine.
Yes,
6-second clips.
Yes.
And I think, that kind of formed people's attention spans. You see a little bit of it on TikTok too, where you've got to hit people in those first 5, 6, 7 seconds.
Oh yes.
And I think you do a good job at doing that with with the reels and the TikTok. And I think that's another convenient thing is that you can post the same content on all 3 platforms there.
Right. And I was always taught there's 3 main parts. There's the hook, the story, and then the offer. So I know what video you saw. So hey, this is what you thought was funny, and that's what caught you. So I know, hey, this was working. We have noticed, and I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I'm going to give a couple. We've noticed that people like kids. Did you know that people like kids?
Never would have guessed.
Right. So with that being said, is like we noticed that when my daughter does videos with me, and she's either I can't cuss on here. She's sassy. That's the word I was going to say. Anyways,
I can find a bleep effect somewhere.
So if she's sassy or she does something to hurt me, or I have a really unique sense of humor. I love dad jokes. I love jokes that you just like, really, this is so awful. I think they're funny when they're coming from a kid. So we thought of these ideas like, okay, what could we get Sydney to say that would be, funny for an adult, but a kid is saying it. So that was another a good thing we've got going. And I always want to touch the line. And thank God for my wife, Kara. She is the more business savvy out of the two of us, because I think I probably would have been canceled if it wasn't for her because of some of the things that I like.
She's the filter, more or less.
Yes, and she is.
She's a research and development. There we go.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So she always has. She has great ideas, and then my ideas have this grand theme, and she knows how to back it off and put a hook. Because I have these great ideas, but there's no hook. And we talked about, how to stay in front of people. Obviously be consistent. Last year, for the first first 2 quarters of the year, half the year, I put a reel out every week. It was taxing. It was hard to come up with those ideas, but I had to start to get a good rhythm. Halfway through the year, we had another child, and I had to put it down for a little bit. This year, we started back up. I'm not doing it every week, but every 2 weeks is typically my limit. I got to put some kind of funny video or put some kind of teaser post. We started working with local community businesses here. I got a good friend of mine. We did this whole Godfather spoof. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out, because we're doing a giveaway for Valentine's Day. I know this will probably air after Valentine's Day, but we have thought of people that love our videos that also have small businesses that want to be in them. I want the videos to be memorable, educational, and when you see me out, you'll be like, this is that crazy guy that has the commercials art, the Facebook reels. That's the whole idea. As of right now, we're really pushing on that, and I take it as a compliment. I have people copying some of my ideas, which I love. It's a compliment to me knowing, hey, I'm doing such a good thing that people are like, hey, why don't we do what Tyler's doing?
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
You nailed it.
I would take that and run with it. And I love that the fact that you are collaborating with not just small businesses, but you're also giving back in the community as well. And you've done a ton the last several years, especially during the holidays and the winter months, as far as giving back to the community. Kind of highlight some of those for me.
So I don't like to talk too much about myself. Just kidding. So this is actually, I'm going to do it in German so she knows. My Deutsche Miezekatze. This was her idea. My wife, she is a teacher here in town, and she's like, you need to do something for the community. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What's the community done for me? No, I'm just kidding. She was like, no, we have a lot of kids that you don't realize it, but Christmas time, there's a lot of need for kids that, everybody thinks of presents, but jackets, blankets, hats, and gloves. And that's where the idea formed, was from her. We started working with Heather Funk and Job and Family Services. And believe it or not, I believe this is going to be our 8th or 9th year. I'm going to have to double check on that. But every year we do a donation drive for Job and Family Services for all the kids that are essentially getting taken from their homes, or families that can't afford these things. We do a hat, jacket, blanket drive. And I partnered up with some great businesses. We've got Ja Linda with One Academy, which is a jiu-jitsu and judo place that I go to. We did a really funny video this year where she threw me. We partner with El City Coffee. Those guys are great over there. And we also partner with another business called The Busy Bee. We do this because the community has been so good to us. And my main focus on any type of donation is always towards the kids. It's not that I don't like adults or anything like that, but kids, it seems that there's always a child that needs. Unfortunately, when their parent can't do what they need to be done, we want to be able to help whatever we can. We also do a pizza party for all the winners of the Tarhee 9 weeks. This is actually going to be my second round of this, and I go and bring pizza into the kids, and I talk to about 20 to 30 of them. And last 9 weeks, I got to ask these kids 3 questions. I told Miss Hoffman, which is the vice principal, I was like, look, I'm going to bring pizza in. Let me talk to the kids. She's
That's
like,
a dangerous idea.
Yes.
But
Right.
You're like, hear me out.
Hear me out. I just want to ask a couple questions. So the 3 main questions I asked them was A, what's your favorite subject? B, what's your favorite sport? And then the last question, which was the most important question, what do you want to do when you get older? And I wanted to see what the answers were from these kids, and you wouldn't believe,
because typically you think like police officer, astronaut, or doctor, that type of stuff. Shoot for the stars.
Yes. And a lot of them, I can't believe I'm saying, want to be YouTubers. Of course, they want to do the videos. They want to make money playing video games. But a lot of them, a lot of the boys were going towards the Army, but it was, again, I believe it was the ages. We were going from kindergarten to 4th grade. So, it was just
bit of a range there, yeah.
Right. And it was interesting to just hear each one of those kids and the attention, that little bit of attention that I gave those kids. Some of those kids wouldn't quit talking, which was great because I love to talk, and giving those kids that little bit of attention was nice. And I think, unfortunately, where we live in, we're very distracted from obviously a lot of things, and some of these kids don't have that attention at home. So when they have somebody that's interested in what they're interested in, boy, they can talk. I tell you what, it was great.
Yeah, and I love that you're able to do these initiatives. And I think a lot of businesses in the community, I think Lancaster is very fortunate that they have a very supportive business community, not just with each other, but for the community. And I think that there's still always that potential for more businesses. So if there's always someone out there who maybe they've been thinking about it, I know you can probably vouch for it. You've seen a lot of value in it yourself, between the business collaborations and the community initiatives and such like that. I think it's especially for being a relatively new business. I mean, because you started
2017,
so you've been around for 8 years.
I know, I'm getting gray thinking about it.
Getting gray in the beard.
God, I'm getting gray. Yeah, and most businesses fail. What is it? Is it 2 years, 7 years? I know there's a number there that they're like, oh, within the first year, there's so many, and then the second year, and then I believe it's what they call the 7-year itch after the 7th year. So we've made that hump, which has been great. But
smooth sailing now, right?
Smooth sailing. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
So tell me a little bit about how Dr. Door got started, because I think, like you said, a lot of folks know the marketing, they know the community initiatives. Let's talk about the business.
This is one thing, Logan, I don't typically talk a lot about, which is odd because I talk a lot. And
let's be real, not a lot of people will be like, I want to sell garage doors.
Yeah, I want to sell.
But you've done well with it.
Right. And I think my biggest thing is that I'm always driven on customers. We joke around, we have, our core values is being a doc, D-O-C, dedicated, open-minded, and consistent. So whatever we do at your house, we're going to do at our mom's house. It's one of the biggest things that I stress with all my customers. Hey, I'm not going to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. That has helped us with our reputation. But how we got started, I've been in the construction business since I was 16, doing, you name it, hanging drywall, demoing to electrical. I've done it all. I fell into the garage door industry randomly, working with this company. They were a big national company, and I worked for them for about a year. In that process, I learned what not to do in a business, because they were not... they weren't good to people. They were what we call snatch and go, where they would come, be the first person there and charge the most and not give people a lot of value. In a weird way, it taught me a lot on how not to run a business, which I believe is one of the most important things about it. Learning, hey, you shouldn't do that. That will help you eliminate what paths you should take. So that was 2015. In that process, I worked for them for about a year, and then I met my beautiful wife, and I told her, I said, hey, I think I want to start my own business. We were originally going to be Dr. Door and More, where I was going to be like a handyman plus fixing garage doors. But she's like, why don't you stick to what you're good at? Focus on the garage doors. And ever since then, we've been very fortunate. We work on residential and commercial garage doors. And we also do roll-up doors, which I kind of randomly fell into as well. We got U-Haul here in town.
Oh, nice.
Needed me to work on what we call a storage unit door. So I learned and I got certified and did all the things I could to be able to take care of that. So I noticed that my customer needed that, and I just solved that problem for them. But I always have had a hard time working for somebody. I know this is going to sound bad on a podcast, but just hear me out. I've always had trouble working for somebody because I always thought, you shouldn't do that way, or why are we doing it this way? And I ask a lot of questions, but I truly believe that's what makes me a good owner, because I'm always willing to try something new. I don't care if I'm the butt of the joke, as my wife would say. It's a hard thing to do sometimes, always coming up with ideas or always trying to help somebody. But ultimately, that's what I'm good at. Working with other companies has also helped, strengthen that, realizing like, hey, this company is good at taking pictures. Why don't I work with them? Or these guys are good at selling coffee. I should work with them. I think that's one of the main things that I've learned over the years, though, is just working with somebody, collaborating with them, and also being honest,
Yeah. And I think, and you kind of touched on it. It can be a little scary starting your own business, but I think you've done well with it. Like we said, 7 years now this year. Gosh, 8 years now? 7, 8 years? I know. I see the gray forming just by saying that.
Still going. Oh, jeez.
But I think you've done well with it. The marketing's been great. I think a lot of folks in the community can take some notes from what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Maybe not a reel a week. I think you learned from experience there.
Well, yeah, I don't want everybody to catch up with me. I want to outwork everybody.
But I think what you've been able to do in a relatively short amount of time has been great. And especially, of course, the community initiatives kind of speak for themselves as well. So, Tyler, if there's anyone who just wants to collaborate with you on social media or, any community initiatives, or maybe they've got a garage door that needs busted, or that is busted.
Yeah.
If they need help, how can they reach out?
So our website's www.drdoorcompany.com. That's DRDOOR company.com. Reach out on there. We have a quick fill form. If you want to collaborate, just put your name and your business information. I'll reach back to you. We run a really tight circle is what I say. Right now, we're only doing a 20-mile radius of Lancaster. So I typically tell people Fairfield County, in the border of Hawking, in the border of Pickaway, just because we're a smaller outfit. We don't want to go into that Columbus market yet because we just don't have the manpower. Hopefully, within the next 5 years, we can get to that. But as of right now, I'm really just focusing here in Fairfield County. And obviously, if you got a broken garage door or got questions about that, you can call us at 740-777-2262. Or again, you can book online at drdoorcompany.com.
Tyler Cassidy, a.k.a. Dr. Door, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. And you guys have a great rest of your day out there.
You've been listening to the Business Spotlight podcast presented by the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce.